7 of their 14 games. So Spurs are pretty locked in at the number 2 seed. Lakers, Houston, Denver, Minnesota, Phoenix, just a logjam from 3 to 7. So we'll kind of see how all that shakes up. But as a Spurs fan, I'm glad the Spurs aren't a part of that mess in that 3 to 7 seed area. As a San Antonio fan, we've beat pretty much all the contenders. Whoever wins the championship, we probably beat that team in the regular season. Unless it's the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers have beat us twice, so maybe we don't match up well against the Cavaliers for whatever reason. But the Spurs have beat the Lakers, of course. They have beat Houston. I don't think either of those teams are serious contenders, to be honest. I'd bet more money on Minnesota. I'd definitely bet more money on Denver. If the Lakers are at 3, if they meet up against the Timberwolves in the 3-6 matchup in the first round, the Lakers are going home in the first round. I really, really think Minnesota would beat the Lakers in that series just with their defense out there. LA, it's just all offense. They can't play defense for anything to save their life. So I think Anthony Edwards would just be eating in that series. And I don't think the Lakers or the Rockets are serious contenders. Not to hate on them, but Houston fans, Lakers fans, y'all just aren't going to win the championship. And I'm sorry to say it to you guys. Then Denver's right here at the number 5 seed. So San Antonio, they would match up against the 7 seed, that 2-7 matchup. So right now, they'd match up against Phoenix. Phoenix has beat the Spurs. I think they beat us twice this season. We have beaten Phoenix, but they beat us at least twice this season. Let's check it out real quick. I know we lost to them early in the season. They beat us right there in November. They beat us again. Beat us twice in November. Let's see, have the Spurs beat Phoenix this season? I want to say the Spurs have beat Phoenix at least one game this season. Yeah, right here, the Spurs crushed Phoenix 121-94 in that matchup. So, again, San Antonio has beaten basically all the title contenders except the Cleveland Cavaliers, if you think Cleveland is a serious title contender. But as a Spurs fan, just an NBA fan, if the Spurs play Phoenix, they're going to beat them in 5 or 6 games. They might sweep them. Phoenix, they do match up well with San Antonio. They have a lot of guards. Grayson Allen, Devin Booker out there. They have, who's their other white boy? They have another white boy, Colin Gillespie. He likes to wet threes as well. So the Spurs have a lot of trouble. Not about a lot of trouble, but that's kind of the weak point for the Spurs, is just guarding the 3 ball and playing perimeter defense. If you're a team that can play 5 out, Phoenix can play 5 out. Those teams give the Spurs the most trouble. So I think Phoenix's play style does kind of give the Spurs trouble. The matchups give San Antonio trouble as well, but the Spurs are just so much better. They have so much more talent than Phoenix does. You know, it will be a 5 or 6 game series. I don't see any world where Phoenix could beat San Antonio in a 7-game series. The Clippers, though, I'd rather play Phoenix than the Clippers. I think the Clippers would be a tougher matchup. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. They have one of the best records in the NBA since like January. They were off to a horrible start, and they finally got their shit together, and they're playing way better now. I'd be way more worried to play against the Clippers. I was going to say, or Golden State. Golden State's missing Jimmy Butler, so I'm not scared of Golden State, even though the Spurs do match up pretty badly against Golden State as well. San Antonio, they just can't guard like Kyrie Irving, Steph Curry, Damian Lillard. Who's another good example? If you're a guard and you're like 6'4" or shorter and you're quick and you can shoot the ball, then the Spurs are probably going to have trouble guarding your ass, honestly. Jamal Murray, that's another one. Jamal Murray fucking cooked us the other night, so the Spurs have trouble with those types of smaller, quicker guards. But yeah, I mean, if the Spurs match up with Phoenix in the first round in that 2-7 matchup, the Spurs would take care of Phoenix pretty quickly. As a Spurs fan, just as a general NBA fan, I think San Antonio, again, Houston or the Rockets, I don't think they would be a problem at all. I'd be more scared of Denver than Oklahoma City as a Spurs fan. OKC, the Spurs have beaten them. We've beaten them 4 times this season. One of those times was in the the in-season tournament. So I don't think that shows up on the record there. But we have beat Oklahoma City 4 out of 5 times this season. I'm not saying the Spurs are just going to come in and sweep OKC. I'm a Spurs fan again. I hate when people put fans just in a bucket like, oh, OKC fans, they all think like this. Lakers fans, Spurs fans, they're all one person. They're all the exact same person. I don't like doing that. So as a Spurs fan, I'm optimistic. If we play OKC, I'd rather play OKC than the Nuggets. But us playing OKC, I wouldn't be ignorant and act like, oh, Spurs are just going to beat OKC. They're going to sweep their ass. I know there's Spurs fans out there that would say that, oh, Spurs in 4 or 5. I fucking hope so, dude. I'd love to see that. But in reality, if the Spurs and OKC match up, it's probably going to be a 6 or 7 game series. And the Spurs can definitely, definitely lose that matchup. I hate to say it. It just is what it is. If OKC beats the Spurs in the playoffs, it's not an upset. Everyone just think that's what's supposed to happen. But I think it would be just an awesome 7 game series. And also, San Antonio could definitely win that series. If the Spurs won this series, I don't think anybody would be gigantically surprised. Even NBA fans that aren't Thunder fans or Spurs fans, I think just those outside fans looking in wouldn't be surprised to see San Antonio beat OKC in a playoff series with all the success we've had in the regular season. Then, more importantly, just with how we match up against OKC, we give them a lot of trouble out there. Denver, if Denver's healthy, I'm fucking terrified of Denver. I don't want to see them. I'd rather play OKC than Denver. But as a Spurs fan, hopefully Denver and OKC will meet up in the second round and one of them will knock out the other one. Then the Spurs can meet up with either the Nuggets or the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. But, let me know what y'all think again as a Spurs fan. Just an NBA fan in general, not being biased towards the Spurs. I don't think the Lakers or Houston have anything at all for the Spurs, for the Thunder, for Denver either. I'll say this: last year, Houston was the number 2 seed. It's a gigantic gap between Houston and OKC, but everyone's saying, OKC number 1, Houston number 2. Houston must be, you know, almost as good as OKC. They're just right behind them. No, they're not. They never were. Last season, Houston was really good. They're really good this season as well. Steven Adams is out for the rest of the season with a foot injury, and that just kind of shits on Houston's whole season. Is Steven Adams the missing piece to winning a championship? I wouldn't say that so much, but he's so huge for what Houston does. He's like maybe their third most important offensive player. He's not their third best scorer, but I mean it's KD, it's Amen Thompson. You can throw Jabari in there. You can throw in, I mean, Alfred Şengün, but honestly, you could put Steven Adams in the top 3 most important players for the Rockets because their whole strategy is just missing shots, getting offensive rebounds, then kind of getting wide open shots or getting putbacks off the offensive glass because they're such a huge physical team out there. But last season, it was a big gap between Houston and OKC. But again, everyone says Houston, OKC number 1, Houston number 2. Houston's kind of right there with OKC when OKC was just a whole class above them. Houston, they were ahead of schedule last season. They had an awesome season. They finished in the number 2 seed. I do like the Houston Rockets, even though I'm a Spurs fan. They added Kevin Durant. Everyone's kind of saying, all right, Houston's ready to win the championship. They were the 2 seed last season. They add Kevin Durant. They have a scorer now. That's what they were missing. They were just missing scoring in the playoffs, which they definitely were, but Kevin Durant doesn't fix Houston's entire offense. He makes them better for sure, but Houston, when I watch them, I feel like they just lack an offensive system. They don't have great ball movement. Ime Udoka is more of a defensive coach, and he's amazing at it. Ime Udoka, ex-Spur, he's always going to be a Spur in my eyes. I love Ime Udoka, but he schemes more for a defensive team, and he's made Houston an awesome defense. Does a great job of it. But on the offensive end, I don't feel like Ime Udoka schemes up a lot of good things offensively. It's just people kind of dump the ball down to Şengün, give the ball to Kevin Durant in an isolation. Maybe we'll pass it a couple times, take a shot. Hopefully we miss it and get the offensive rebound. I just think if your main strategy is you're going to miss shots, so I'm going to get some offensive rebounders on the team, it's not really a way to win a championship, by just focusing on getting offensive rebounds off the shots you're already going to miss. So back to my point, Houston was the number 2 seed last season. We kind of threw them in there with OKC and had them kind of in the same tier when they really weren't. This season, San Antonio is the number 2 seed. Probably going to finish the season maybe 2 or 3 games behind OKC. We'll see what happens. But the main point is San Antonio has separated themselves from the 3 seed, 4 seed, 5 seed. It's a sizable gap, and San Antonio is going to finish most likely in the 2 seed. Again, I don't think we'll get the number 1 seed, but most likely in the 2 seed. So Houston being the number 2 seed last season, that Houston team from last season is nowhere close to as good as the Spurs team from this season. If the Spurs of this season played last season's Rockets in the playoff series, the Spurs would for sure win that playoff series. So Houston adds Kevin Durant. They are better. But back to my main point, San Antonio is the 2 seed, OKC is the 1 seed. And this year, it's San Antonio and OKC. They are in the same tier. They are in the same group. We'll see what happens once the playoffs get going. If OKC beats the Spurs in 5 games, I really doubt that would happen, but I guess it is possible. If that happens, everyone's going to say, I told you San Antonio's a fraudulent team, whatever it is. They're just like Houston last year. But the Spurs, they just have way more talent than Houston. Houston's number one option last year was Şengün. San Antonio's number one option is Wembanyama. Wemby's way better than Şengün. Houston's number two option last year was Amen Thompson. San Antonio's number two option is De'Aaron Fox. Then you start going down through all the role players. And San Antonio, they're just a way better team than the number two seed Houston Rockets was last year. So, we'll see what happens. San Antonio is definitely a contender. They're not a pretender out there. If you won't even call San Antonio a contender, you're really just hating on them at this point, because they're definitely in the contender group. If you say OKC is going to beat them in the playoffs, if you like Denver better, Minnesota, whoever you like better, that's totally fine. I agree with you. But if you can't say San Antonio is at least a contender with all the sample size we've had this season, with what we've seen from Wemby and De'Aaron Fox, all the young players, San Antonio's defense, you're honestly just hating on the Spurs at that point. But please like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 7 million subscribers. Let me know what you think about San Antonio's season so far. Again, I'm a Spurs fan. Let me know if you think I'm being biased. Maybe you do, but I try not to be biased when I'm going over the Spurs or any other team. But please like and subscribe. 7 million subscribers. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know if you think the Spurs are the real deal or if they're pretenders. And we'll see y'all next time. Peace out, bro.